Welcome back to the KIX 96.5 Morning Show. We love featuring artists you should know about on the show. And today we're heading to Las Vegas to chat with Australian singer-songwriter Rachel Lincoln. Rachel grew up in a small rural country Australian town. She sang in a duo that performed at casinos, weddings, and events. And now she's taking it to the next level. And she's moved to the States to chase her dream. Her latest single, Out of the Blue, just came out. And she's just getting started. We're excited to have Rachel on the show. First, Rachel, thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, thanks, Jeff, for having me. I'm very excited to be on.
Yeah, wow. Well, you grew up in Perth. You've been singing your whole life. How did you get hooked up with Jay Weston to start the Lincoln West duo?
That's a good question. So I pretty much decided after some years of deliberating, I did business law at university, at college, and I just thought, you know what? No, this is not the industry for me. And I reverted back to my childhood passion of music, and people told me that, oh, music's not a real job. You can't make that your career. And I thought, well, I'm sure you can. So I got a bunch of booking agents and started gigging, and I was in a band, and that's how I met Jason. And then we branched off and started the duo. And yeah, I think from there we started playing Crown Casino, which is the one casino in Western Australia. So each state in Australia can only have one casino license. That's a fun fact.
Oh,
so
wow.
we were playing there, and we started to look at wedding singing and that kind of thing. And then that was great. And then I realized, well, this is wonderful. I am making a living out of music, but I thought, if I'm going to be doing this, I want to be singing my stuff, not covering stuff, not other people's music. Yeah, so I made that decision, and I thought, well, if I want to really have a go at that, I'd probably need to go to the United States, because we have great talent in Australia, and we have a lot of it, but we have a very small market for original music, and it's probably, I would say it's probably harder to get started there than here. So I made that decision to come over here, and I've been over here since January, and all's going well. Yeah.
Yeah, she's been here less than a year. But yeah, you're very attractive, Rachel. You did a lot of modeling in Australia, and there was a post that you put up, and I think you were graduating at the time, and with you side to side, you were like a beauty queen in one, and had your cap and gown on in the other one. You could have beauty and brains.
Yeah. I think the post, if I recall, was when I graduated university, and I had the mortarboard hat on and all of that, and then next to it I had me with a sash on from a beauty pageant, and I think the caption was something like, you can be both. So yeah, there's definitely nothing stopping young women out there who want to dabble in both of those realms. There's nothing wrong with that, and yeah, that was the message of that post.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you've been hard at work. Married in Vegas. Your last single came out last month, Rachel, and Out of the Blue comes out a month later. Did we record a bunch of songs? What's the goal here? What are we trying to do? Just get our name out there?
It's funny actually. So when I started writing original music, I was actually in Sweden at the time. When I first started writing original stuff, I was over there for a brief period, and I was working with some Swedish producers and that kind of thing. And at that time, I guess I hadn't really decided what my sound was going to be. And I think that, not knowing that and probably being a little bit influenced, I think I was under the impression that in order to be received well, I had to write pop music or, almost electro pop or EDM music. And I started doing that, and it was great to songwrite, but it wasn't really my style, really. It wasn't my genre of choice, and I think I knew that. And then I came out here, and I went out to Nashville in March, and I got out to Tennessee and, and with the country, music everywhere, I thought, I think this is the genre that I belong in. And I went out there, I was out there for 2 weeks, and I wrote a bunch of songs, and I came away after 2 weeks with pretty much an album written. And I thought, wow, this has been really easy to write. This has felt very organic, and I think country pop is where I should head, and transition into. So that's sort of why I've now ended up writing country pop. So I wrote this album around March, April, and yeah, the songs that are coming out now, like Married in Vegas and Out of the Blue, they're on the album. So it's about putting out, those singles, and then having that follow-up album that they're a part of. So that follow-up album, I would say, would be coming out sometime in the next few months. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and there's still a little bit of that electro-pop feel kind of in these songs.
Yeah, a little bit. Like Married in Vegas is, I mean, you listen to it and you wouldn't say that's country. It's meant to be probably, I would say, emulating a 1990s Shania Twain vibe, if that makes sense. So it's fun, and it's, you listen to it and you go, oh, that's a little bit corny, a little bit, I don't know if I like that, but then you realise, oh yeah, like this is pretty catchy, and people have said like, oh, that song's really grown on me, like that's in my head, it's stuck in my head now, so that's good. And Out of the Blue is probably a little bit more country pop, yeah. So
yeah, we're getting there. We're getting to our sound.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yes, it's still early days. As you said, I've been out here less than a year, so I think I've made some good traction in that time.
Yeah. Well, go and check her out, Rachel Lincoln. She's at rachellincoln.country. She's on Facebook, Instagram. Go to YouTube and Spotify. Check out all of her stuff. Her latest single, Out of the Blue, which you're going to hear very soon, is out now. Well, you were doing a ton of modeling in Australia. Well, you've done a little bit out here. Are we focusing more on our music or what?
I think so. The modelling stuff back in Australia, that wasn't really something that I sought out per se. How I came to be involved with that, so I think it was back in 2016, I was working with a talent agency, and they sent me, like for my music, and they sent me to a photographer just to get some headshots done. And it was that photographer who said, hey, have you ever, considered like modelling? And I was like, no, I never really have. And he actually, started the modelling stuff for me, and became a wonderful friend. And that's sort of how I got into it. But when I came out here, I guess I was very, focused on getting as much happening as I could when I immediately came out here. So I think now that I've got the ball rolling, I could definitely branch out and get back into the modelling, because I do love that as well. So, yeah, I'll probably start to get back into
that. Well, I don't know what you've been doing. You've always been working out, Rachel, because you look amazing.
Oh, no. Thank you, but no, I really don't. I do nothing. I really
Come
don't.
on, don't be telling me that.
I don't think I've been inside of a gym in about, I would say about 5 years.
Wow. Well, give me some of your genes then, Rachel, whatever you're doing.
Oh.
It's working.
I don't know. Good metabolism, I guess. Because I eat whatever I want.
Don't tell me that. Big Records artist. How did we get hooked up with them?
That's a good question. It was about, let me think. I think it was in about June. I was already out in Vegas. I think I just got here. And yeah, I think I just got a message from them, asking to come on board, and it sort of went from there. And I had a call with the management there, and just felt like a good fit. So I'm very grateful for them taking me on board and that kind of thing. So I think the thing is, Jeff, I think when you allow yourself to give into the path that the universe wants you to take, the path sort of paves itself and it paves its own way. And I think that's definitely what's happened since I've been over here. I think I had that intuitive, calling. I think I knew that I had to come over to America, and I didn't have a plan. I didn't really know how I was going to do it. I just sort of knew it was going to be okay. I just had a feeling that things would just sort of fall into place. And I think when you give into that feeling and just let things be, I think things do just sort of work out. The universe just helps you out a bit. So got to make sure that got to hope that keeps happening into 2024.
Yeah, trust the process a little bit. Do you have connections to Vegas? Because you were in LA. Why Vegas?
Look, I'd been to LA before, and I did have a project lined up in early February when I first came out, which was in LA, which is what took me there. And I was out there for some months, but I just found LA very, it just wasn't really user-friendly, just the traffic and I think just the overwhelmingness of LA was a lot. LA is massive, and it can take 2 hours to get across town. And Western Australia, I'm just not used to that. I grew up in a small town, moved to Perth to go to university. So Vegas was just the perfect size. Vegas is very user-friendly. It's been designed that way because of the nature of the city. You have the airport that's right downtown, because it's been designed to be easy for people to come here and that kind of, and convenient. And I really liked that about Vegas. Yeah, and just the size. And something else, I guess, one benefit was you're not paying horrendous amounts of money, for a gallon of gas in Vegas. You go with LA. I remember when I left LA, literally there were some places like $7 a gallon for gas. That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no state tax out here, which is it's good too.
Yeah.
But,
and you're close.
But yeah, it's close. It's like a 45-minute flight, or an hour flight or something. So it's still accessible. But hey, maybe it was just that intuition thing again, because the song Married in Vegas, I had actually never been to Vegas before when I wrote that.
Oh, wow.
I wrote that back in Australia. I wrote that in 2022, never been to Vegas, but I had a bit of an idea in my head about how Vegas might look like. And I imagined, I'm not sure what spurred the idea, but one day I just had this idea about, there's all these movies about crazy nights in Vegas and, The Hangover and those kind of movies and stuff. And I thought, well, that would make a great song idea. A couple have a big night on the town and end up getting hitched. I thought, okay, that's an interesting song idea. And I think I wrote this song in about 40 minutes and eventually then did come to Vegas. And the image of the city that I had in my town and the places that I mentioned, like the MGM Grand and that kind of thing, the Strip, it was really just how I imagined it. And I thought, wow, that's so strange. So yeah, a lot of people think that I wrote it here, but it was written before I'd ever been to Vegas. So
it was foreshadowing. You were meant to be in Vegas.
Yeah, well, maybe, yeah.
Crazy. Yep. Go and check her out. Rachel Lincoln. She's at rachellincoln.country is her website. She's on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Go to Spotify. You can listen to all of her stuff. And Out of the Blue is her latest single. Well, the song Married in Vegas, I saw you've modeled a ton of wedding dresses. Do you have your wedding dress picked out when the time ever happens?
Not really. It's funny because I used to laugh, and I think I made a post about it, I think probably around this time last year. I remember I made a post back in Perth, and I was wearing modeling a wedding dress, and the caption was something like, always a bride model, never a bride. Because I'd done a bunch of, wedding photo shoots and bridal makeup photo shoots and bridal hair photo shoots and all that kind of thing. And, of course, also being a wedding singer as well. So I'd been around all this sort of wedding industry stuff and, you know, all the bridal stuff. And it's funny. But, no, I've never had that, you know, that picture perfect dress in mind or anything. So, yeah,
she hasn't tried it on yet.
Peeled.
Yeah, never a bridesmaid
exactly.
Never a bride, always a bridesmaid. She's never a bride; she's always a bride model. That's what Rachel is. Oh, you've been to Miami, you've been to L.A., Vegas, Nashville. Have we been to New York? What's next on the bucket list?
Yeah, I've been out to New York a couple times. First time I went to New York, it was summer, which was lovely. I've been to New York a couple times. Probably heading out to Tennessee shortly. I did a big road trip, actually, back in, I think it was August, or maybe September. I drove with my Pomeranian puppy. Her and I drove from Nevada to Louisiana and back.
Oh, wow.
So that was a pretty big road trip.
Yeah.
It was great. Passed through...
Did you go through Texas and everything?
Yeah, drove through Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Louisiana, and spent some time in New Orleans and came back. So that was great. But, I would like to go to the South and maybe do a bit of a road trip around, like, Alabama and the Carolinas and, you know, that kind of thing, Georgia. So that's probably next on the list after some time in Tennessee, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, checking out more of the South. There was one thing on her Instagram, if you go check out Rachel's Instagram. It was a couple of years ago. Do you have family in Thailand?
Yes, so my brother lives out there, and I spent close to a year out there myself. I was a high school teacher. Yeah.
You were a high school teacher?
Yeah, I was teaching English to high school kids, way off the tourist trail. You know, it was up country, near the Lao border. Yeah, that was a great experience.
An Australian teaching English to kids in Thailand.
Yes. Yeah. So over there, you don't have to have a teaching degree per se to be a teacher as a foreigner.
Yeah.
You just have to have any degree. And my brother and his wife, they were due to have a baby at that time, and I wanted to be sort of close to my new niece that was born, and I decided I took a contract up at a high school. I had taught English before though, so that wasn't totally new, but that was an amazing experience.
Yeah, there was one cool thing. You're like washing an elephant.
Yeah, yeah, that was up in Chiang Mai, in the northwest. So Chiang Mai is known for elephant sanctuaries and, you know, some great nature and mountains and that kind of thing. And, you know, you see a lot of people post photos when they go to Thailand, you know, riding elephants and that kind of thing. And they say that you shouldn't actually ride them because they have a very weak back.
Yeah.
And that can be quite damaging for their back. So they say if you want to go to like an elephant sanctuary and, you know, you can, that's great, but don't sit on them, don't ride them. So that one I went to, you know, we were just feeding them bananas, hanging out, washing them with mud, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, it looks cool. I mean, 2 songs back to back. Is singles continuing? What's happening next?
Yeah, I think the plan is going to be have 3 or maybe probably 3 like singles released on their own that are on that track listing of the album, and then that album probably I would say would be coming out within the next maybe a few months. But just releasing those singles prior that formulate part of the track listing, I think is just a good idea to, you know, just get a bit of momentum rather than just putting out a whole album into the ether and then nothing happens. You know, a lot of people do that, and I think it's probably not very strategic just to, you know, release this whole project with no plan. Whereas, you know, putting, you know, sort of drip feeding out singles, I think is probably not a bad idea. And then having that whole album there that they're a part of. following it up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a singles world. Keep dropping singles.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Well, Out of the Blue, you mentioned it a little bit, but tell us about the song, Rachel, because this is like meeting someone out of the blue.
Yeah, so the gist of the song is about having a bit of unfinished business with someone. It happened years ago. You think that you're over it. You know, it feels like it happened a lifetime ago. But the universe or something, you know, fate feels that there is a bit of unresolved business there between the two of you, and the two people come together, and it's this meeting that feels like it's by happenstance or by chance, but you come away and you go, I think we actually needed to have that meeting in order to actually get closure after, you know, so many years. So it's about, I suppose, resolving, you know, unfinished business with someone, putting the past behind you, and then just actually being able to wish them well and going your separate ways, and not remembering bad things about them, but being able to smile and just, you know, acknowledge that they were part of your past and that you wish them well. Yeah.
Well, here it is, Out of the Blue. She also has a lyric video, so go to YouTube and search for it, Rachel Lincoln, Out of the Blue. Go and follow her, and also check out our website, rachellincoln.country. Rachel, thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me, Jeff. It's been really fun.
Here it is, Out of the Blue. It's Rachel Lincoln. It's KIX 96.5.